Life is hard. Can we just agree on that? I mean, basically, we are all running constantly from the proverbial tiger. But balance is important, and today I want to share with you how you can achieve more balance in your life and how that's going to help you to be healthier. Hey guys, I'm Dr. D with AlphaOmega Wellness.com, and I want to talk to you today about this concept of balance in our nervous system. So, two sides to our nervous system. There's the sympathetic side, the sympathetic nervous system, which is stress, right? It's fight or flight. It's running from the tiger. And then there's this other side that's the parasympathetic nervous system, which is rest and relaxation. Now, I think we all do fine on having adequate amounts of sympathetic tone in our lives, right? Life is hard. We're either avoiding the tax man, or our mortgage is due and we don't have the money, or we're fighting with our spouse, we're getting a divorce, somebody wounded us. Our body interprets all of this stress the same way as it has forever when we were physically running from a tiger. And it's increased cortisol, increased epinephrine and norepinephrine, or what the British call adrenaline and noradrenaline, right? We know that feeling. We know that feeling when the conversation with somebody goes from our head to our gut and you can just feel it, right? That's that sympathetic nervous system taking off, going nuclear. We've got that part down. We're not lacking adequate amounts of sympathetic tone. What we don't have adequate amounts of is parasympathetic tone to balance that. And so the parasympathetic nervous system, like I said, that's rest and relaxation. It's also digestion and reproduction. Let's face it, you don't need to have a great libido when you're running from the tiger. So if you are suffering from poor libido, one of the reasons that might be is that your stress level's too high. And so with increased cortisol comes increased inflammation in the body. With increased inflammation of the body comes insulin resistance. We've talked about that on here before. That promotes weight gain, that promotes visceral fat, like that fat that's metabolically active that puts you at risk for heart disease. We're fine on that side. What we need to talk about today is like, how do we improve that parasympathetic tone? How do we chill out and calm down? Because virtually none of us are good at that. Do you agree? So talking about parasympathetic nervous system kind of allows me to shift gears from, the ER doctor that I've been for 25 years to the functional medicine doctor that's like really wanting to help you find health and wellness. We don't have to talk a whole lot about the parasympathetic nervous system in the emergency department. But I want you to understand that the way that you promote that in your body is starting with mindfulness. So whatever that looks like to you. So for me, with my Christian worldview, my wife and I start every day off praying out loud together, reading the Bible, doing a devotional. I might journal. And so that right there is raising the parasympathetic nervous system tone. Prayer is a great way throughout the day to just kind of settle yourself. For you, it might be more meditation or just mindfulness, centering. Walking outside in nature has been shown to lower cortisol levels. Even just pictures of nature can lower cortisol levels, raising that parasympathetic tone. One of the reasons why multiple cultures pray before a meal is that prayer, like I said, it improves the parasympathetic tone, it improves rest and relaxation, and therefore promotes better digestion. We've talked here before about digestion health and gut health and how that's important. Well, if we are constantly eating on the go as we're running from the tiger, our gut's not working properly, right? We're not absorbing all the micronutrients that we need to thrive. And so if you start some mindfulness practice, if you start having some quiet time built into your day, if you start some breath work, then that can help raise that parasympathetic tone. Let's talk for a second about breath work. You can do what's called square belly breathing. So you basically inhale through a count of 4, hold it for a count of 4, exhale through a count of 4, and then hold that exhalation for a count of 4. That's very simple, easy to remember. There's other breathing techniques out there, but all of them do one thing. They increase the vagal nerve tone. The vagus nerve is what leaves the brain and actually promotes that parasympathetic nervous system. And so if you've ever done any of the guided meditation work that you can get an app for on your phone, it all starts with breathing. Somebody with usually a British accent is directing you through these breathing exercises. That's exactly what they're doing. They're raising your parasympathetic tone so that you can rest and relax, so that you can go to sleep. This stuff is important because it's more than just taking time out of your day. When our sympathetic nervous system tone is too high, like I said, our cortisol is too high. When our cortisol is too high, that wrecks how all of our other hormones function. So until you get the cortisol right, the thyroid's not going to function efficiently. In fact, the thyroid needs T4 produced by the thyroid to be metabolized into T3, which is the hormone that's actually metabolically active that tells our cells, what our metabolic rate and function should be. If our cortisol is high, that's not happening appropriately. If our cortisol is high, we're not making adequate amounts of testosterone. Our estrogen and progesterone, they're not working right. And so you can start to see how this discussion of balance in our tone, balance in our lives, it's not just something woo-woo that we're chatting about. It literally has implications for your health on a daily basis. And in fact, if you start today implementing some of these techniques, if you start decompressing and just spending some time in quiet solitude, if you start developing a gratitude habit, if you make a gratitude journal, a prayer journal, all of these things, you can see over time that your health and wellness start to improve. So let me tell you about a time that I didn't get this right at all. So I was going through a divorce or coming out of a divorce. I was dating, probably wasn't wise, probably was too soon from that previous relationship that I should have been dating. I wasn't sleeping well. I was getting 4 or 5 hours of sleep at night, caffeinating during the day, just kind of go, bills piling up because my life was a wreck. I had an entire room in my rented house full of like bills and tax bills and collectors, and just my life was a mess. I'd hate to go back and see what my cortisol was doing during that time. But a number of things started happening to me. Like my health started failing. I was picking up weight. My mood dropped. I thought I was depressed. Looking back now, knowing what I know, I can see how much of a wreck that I was. And a lot of that had to do with I wasn't balancing out my life. I was always running from the tiger. There was no time set aside for rest and relaxation. There was no mindfulness practice. There was no journaling. And it didn't bless me. I was probably the least healthy that I've been in my whole life. And now flip to current state of affairs. Like, I'm sure I still don't have perfect balance. It's hard growing a business. It's hard, being a dad to these boys. It's hard. It's all just hard. But I'm way further along than what I was previously, because I do take that time out at the beginning of the day. And my wife and I do pray out loud together before we go to sleep at night. And having that thought to pray during the day over whatever situation that I'm facing, like all of that has really brought a lot more balance to my life. I'm sure 5 years from now, I'll still be improving and different. But I just wanted to come on here and teach you guys about what you can do starting today to make these changes so that in a month or 6 months, a year, you're not where you are right now. Hey, if this has been helpful to you, let me just ask you to click the like button, subscribe to the channel, because I want to keep bringing this information to you each week. I want you to be able to grow and learn as I'm growing and learning myself in this wellness space. And if you're in Central Indiana and you're looking for a doctor who'll take a different approach to take care of you and your family, check out our website, AlphaOmegaWellness.com. We'd be honored to actually get to take care of you. And I always like to remind people that my view is that ultimately there's one healer in the world, and that's Jesus. His brother, James, wrote in James 1:17, every good and perfect gift comes from above. And so I think health and wellness, I think understanding how to take care of our bodies is part of that good and perfect gift. And so if you've not explored that side of yourself, if you've kind of ignored the spiritual side of your life, let me just encourage you to seek that out. If you start looking for those answers, I believe that you will find them. And if you need help with that along the way, we actually have pastoral counselors on the staff. They can walk that out with you as well. And I'm happy to have a conversation along the way in addition. Hey, listen, guys, I love you. Thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in. And I'll look forward to chatting with you next time.